Okay, so today we are going to review Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope. That's right, the original Star Wars. I'm doing this for a particular reason. I'll let you know of what that is in just a little bit. My name is Ed Bo, and welcome to Ed Reviews. As I said, today we are reviewing the original Star Wars movie, the 1977 film by George Lucas, written and directed by George Lucas. It is the most iconic space opera film ever made. The reason why I'm reviewing this movie at this time is because I'm getting ready to start trying out something new with my reviews where I'm going to be doing my version of a spoiler review, which will actually be in the form of two reviews following this one. One will focus on the characters and one will focus directly on the plot. For those of you who know, most of my analysis of plot is based on the work of this guy, that would be Joseph Campbell, and his book, The Hero with a Thousand Faces, and more specifically, the version of that theory that was written for film by the guy by the name of Christopher Vogler in his book, The Writer's Journey. So my analysis will be based heavily on those two books. Okay, so the setting. Star Wars takes place, obviously, it takes place a long ago in a galaxy far away. Specifically, it takes place in a galaxy that has been ruled for thousands of years by the Old Empire. And the Old Empire was overthrown apparently about 30 years ago by the Old Republic. And the Old Republic was overthrown by the New Empire, which is ruled by, well, you don't see the Emperor in the original Star Wars movie. You don't see him. I don't even think you hear his name. You just know that there is an Emperor. Uh, the characters, okay? You have Luke Skywalker, played by Mark Hamill, very, very young Mark Hamill. And you have Alec Guinness, the British fine actor, playing Obi-Wan Kenobi, the last of the Jedi Knights. Carrie Fisher, who we sadly lost late last year, plays Princess Leia Organa. Harrison Ford plays Han Solo, the series resident anti-hero. Uh, Peter Mayhew plays Chewbacca. Kenny Baker plays R2-D2, the little garbage can droid. Anthony Daniels plays C3PO, and David Prowse is the person in the suit playing Darth Vader, and James Earl Jones is his voice. And of course, you have Grand Moff Tarkin being played by the immortal Peter Cushing. Okay, plot wise, Star Wars, the beginning is a perfect example of what is known as in medias res. This is a phrase that means you begin in the middle. And you'll notice that Star Wars begins in the middle of a battle, in the middle of a revolution that's been going on for like 20 effing years. And it uses the point of view of these two droids who are not fighters, that would be C3PO and R2D2, to give you all of the exposition uh, without slowing down the advancement of the plot. That's ballsy and amazing when you consider that it's about a half hour into the movie before you actually see the hero. You get a lot of the droids, and mostly everything that happens in the beginning is being carried by the performance of Anthony Daniels. Keep in mind, R2D2 doesn't speak, and neither R2D2 doesn't have a face. Even even C3PO has a face, even though it has no expression. So everything that's happening, even the things that R2D2 are saying, are actually aspects of the performance of Anthony Daniels. And he has to do it all with his voice. He can't make gestures, he can't make facial expressions. It's all vocalization. And so for that to have any emotion or any humor, Anthony Daniels really should have gotten an Oscar for that. I mean, that's amazing. Okay, the middle. The middle keeps the action going. It is a lot of varied and interesting things happen, and there's a lot of human. What I mean by varied is when you look back over everything that happens in Star Wars, no two action sequences are similar. Everything is different. Everything is new. It's like the part where they're in the. I don't want to give away spoilers, even though the movie's 40 years old this year. But the part where they're on the Death Star is different from the part where they're on the planet. The part where they're on the Rebel base is different from the part where they're in, oh, I don't know, the bar. The Millennium Falcon is different than the X-Wing fighter. Everything they do is radically different from everything else they do, which is brilliant in an action movie. And then you get to the ending. One of the most iconic third acts in film history. All I have to say about that. If you've never heard of the Star Wars trench action sequence, you either don't like movies or you're insane. Okay, so the conclusion, the upside. It's one of the tightest examples of adventure filmmaking ever made. It is solid, it is imaginative, and 40 years later, it is still unique among action films, even though there have been several other Star Wars movies after. Um, the downside is that while all of the elements of a hero's journey are present, they aren't all tied together to the main plot. There are a lot of really random encounters. If you think about some of the things that happen in the Mos Eisley cantina, there are obstacles, there are villains, there are people that they encounter that have nothing to do with the Empire, and they have even, not everyone in there has something to do with Jabba the Hutt. There's the guy that gets into the altercation with Luke and eventually with Alec Guinness's Obi-Wan Kenobi. That guy's got nothing to do with anything. And the Star Wars franchise is more so with the prequel trilogy, but it does happen a lot in the main trilogy. There are a lot of encounters that aren't connected to the main plot. Those are somewhat problematic. They're a little bit random. That's not always a bad thing, but when you get to, it's one of the biggest problems with the prequel trilogy because a lot of stuff had nothing to do with anything else. Okay, so to rate this, I have to give it 5 stars, despite the fact that it is slightly dated at this point. What do I mean by dated? Look at the action sequences in Star Wars and compare them to the action sequences in a modern action movie, like, oh, I don't know, pick your favorite Captain America movie. Um, and you'll realize that the world has just evolved a better way of showing an action sequence. And Star Wars is a bit dated. However, if you sit down and watch this movie, it's not a dated experience. It is still an amazing film to watch. So, Star Wars, one of the greatest films of my childhood, 5 stars. So, I should be back tomorrow with the character review of Star Wars, and then I will be back Saturday with the plot review of Star Wars. So if you like the video, please hit the like button. If you really like the video, please hit the subscribe button. And if you really, really like the video, share it with your friends. And if you want to be notified when I do upload those other movies, there should be in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, wherever you're watching this, a little alarm button. You can push that and you will get an email when I load up my next video. Thanks for watching, and I should see you tomorrow.